Do you have a plan for immediately what to do the minute Phase 3 launches? If you want to maximize the first days of the brand new Trial of the Crusader phase, I've got you covered. I'll explain the 5 things I'm going to do in the patch hits, from cutting epic gems to running heroics and maximizing the new Ulduar skip runs. But before we talk about the 5 things I'm going to do, we need to talk release time. The Trial of the Crusader and Onyxia raids are coming out at 6 p.m. EDT for the global release on June 22nd. However, the rest of the new content, from the Isle of Conquest Battleground to the new epic gems to the Argent Tournament dailies, will come out on June 20th. Since the non-raid portions of the patch aren't on a global release, we should be on the lookout for the patch directly after your server's maintenance. On North America, maintenance will be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. EST. Meanwhile, on Europe, maintenance will be from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. CEST. Phase 2 did originally release at 1:35 p.m. on Tuesday in North America, so don't be surprised if things take a few extra minutes. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do immediately when the patch hits is I'm going to talk to Timothy Jones and buy the 10 most important gem recipes. I've got a list of them in the document below the video, but of course there are way more relevant recipes you should buy if you have the jewel crafting tokens available. Primarily, I'm going to get one recipe of every gem color to cover all my bases. Also, you shouldn't neglect colors like blue. I mean, tanks need stamina gems just as much as casters need spell power gems. With my recipes in hand, I'll be heading to my faction's Emblem of Heroism vendor to stockpile epic gems. I've already converted all my badges to heroism in advance using a macro, but once the patch drops, you can just shift click like any other item. I plan to primarily buy red gems at first, but since everybody has that idea, you should diversify into other major colors as well. I'll also be heading to the PvP vendor in Orgrimmar to liquidate all my honor into even more epic gems. I've got so many random characters with battleground marks that I converted using a macro, so I'll be getting at least 100 epic gems across all my alts just from past PvP. Since I do have 450 jewel crafting, once I've got all my epic gems, I'll be cutting them and selling them on the auction house. I'm not expecting insane prices since most people will be at work when the patch drops and the raid doesn't come out until Thursday, though hopefully at first they sell for a few hundred gold each. Also, I plan to wait to gem out my own gear since the prices should drop by raid day. After I clear out my first batch of gems, I'm going to sit down and prospect the 8,000 titanium ore I've saved up. I already pre-cleared my inventory as much as possible, so I'll be able to prospect without taking extra trips. I also pre-saved a titanium prospecting macro, and I have speedy auto loot turned on to make the process 3 times faster. Once I finish prospecting, I'll be cutting the epic gems and selling the titanium powder on the auction house. The powder should have a very good value since it can be turned into Dalaran jewel crafting tokens. You'll also be left with tons of rare and common gems, and I think it's worth cutting the rare gems before you put them on the auction house. Though there are 2 gems I'm not going to be cutting, which are the 2 King's Amber I'm saving for the next step. The 2 King's Amber will be for crafting the Jeeves remote banking robot. I've already pre-farmed all the materials for Jeeves, and I've salvaged the Jeeves recipe from Storm Peaks. Check out my Jeeves guide here if you need help getting him ready to go. With Jeeves in hand, I'll be able to do all sorts of wild and crazy exploits like making my character insanely big during raids. It's also just way more convenient for storing my 8 million gear sets on my druid. The third thing I plan to do in the patch hits is to head to the Argent Tournament to pick up my pony bridle and my tabard. Those will be picked up from Dame of Nikki Capsalis in the Western Tent. The pony bridle makes my Argent Squire into a second remote bank, and he doesn't require any skills like engineering. With my new child in tow, I'll be finishing off the Black Knight's quest chain for 3 champion seals. At the same time, I'm hopefully going to knock out the brand new Sun Reaver and Crusader dailies. I've got a full guide to every new daily, but TLDR, these are even faster and easier dailies than ever before. Also, if I get the drop the Cavaldier attack plans, I'll just knock that quest out real quick for a bonus 21 gold. Another bonus would be subscribing and hitting that notification bell. The fourth thing I plan to do is to run the daily heroic quest for 5 Emblems of Triumph. Although I won't be able to afford any new Triumph gear in time for TOC on Thursday, my alts will be able to afford 1 Crusader Orb each if they hit the daily until Thursday. The price of that Crusader Orb on the first few days should be at least 2,000 gold since there aren't any raids for generating them yet. I'll also be running a few world tours on my paladin to generate some last minute purples and Sidereal Essence. Sidereal Essence is a currency that drops 1 at a time from the last boss in each Heroic Plus dungeon. That takes us back to Crusader Orbs again. You can actually buy a Crusader Orb for 3 Sidereal Essence. That makes just running Heroic Plus an insanely good gold maker for alts. However, I plan to buy myself a nice Sif's Remembrance for 19 Essence. I have updated my Sidereal Essence pricing sheet so you can plan out what items to buy. The fifth thing I plan to do when the patch hits is Ulduar skip runs on every character. These runs will be perfect for catching up my alts and for getting those last minute 252 weapons and trinkets. In Phase 3, you can teleport directly past Flame Leviathan and XT to get directly to Algalon. Not only that, but the 1-hour timer's been removed and Algalon now drops a guaranteed 2 Valinir fragments. There's also another skip directly after Colodarn since the Vezak's door will immediately open up. This means you can go from Algalon to Vezak's to Yogg and complete the raid in under 20 minutes. Yogg even gives 3 fragments guaranteed if you do 0 light and 2 fragments guaranteed if you do 1 light. That's such a good deal, I finally started working on my own own Valinir. If you want some gold for some future legendaries, check out my Runecloth gold farming guide for up to 700 gold per hour. Runecloth is through the roof, so don't miss it.